No, it's. Interesting. Great. Good evening, everyone. I would like to call the Town of Rochester Town Board March workshop meeting to order. If you could all stand for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman Alba? Here, kind of. Councilman Coleman?
Here.
Councilman Youssef? Here. Councilman Lynn?
Here.
Supervisor Nella?
I'm here. So tonight we have two public hearings and then we will proceed with our workshop agenda. The workshop agenda is quite long because we tabled most of our business agenda from our last meeting till today. So we have quite a lengthy agenda tonight. The first item on the agenda is the acceptance of the agenda. I do have a couple of small amendments. If any board members have any additional amendments, just let me know. So I'll make a motion that the town board accepts the agenda as prepared by the town supervisor with the following amendments: to move the approval of the abstracts till the end of the meeting. And we will be adding an amendment to the resolution appointing the deputy assessor at the end of the meeting. Any discussion?
Can I just ask for one amendment of an acceptance of a donation added to the agenda?
Oh, sure. Yeah, we can do that.
Thank
Yep.
Second as amendment.
Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, motion carries. So we're starting with the public hearings. They are in the order that we scheduled them. So it's local law E followed by local law D. So for the public hearings, this is the time for the public to address the town board in an official capacity on legislation that's before the board. So our first public hearing is local law E of 2026, a local law to impose a temporary moratorium on battery energy storage system facilities. So we ask that you address the board directly with your comments. We will not engage in a question and answer during the public hearing portion of the meeting. So if you ask questions, we will not answer them while you are asking them. With that, I will open the public hearing for local law E of 2026, the imposing a moratorium on the battery energy storage systems. Is there anyone? First, I will ask the people who are present if they'd like to speak, and then I'll move to anyone who's joined us on Zoom. So is there anyone present that would like to speak on local law E? Sure.
Thanks,
Sorry.
Matt Reddick. I'm happy to go next if someone's.
It's okay.
I'm Town of Rochester. Want to speak against the moratorium. I absolutely think we need green energy infrastructure in the town of Rochester, in Ulster County, in New York State, in the United States, in the world. I think this sort of NIMBYism, this reflexive, no, there's this problem, there's that problem. I understand fires are a concern. Status quo is not sustainable. We need green energy infrastructure. If people are willing to invest, ready to invest in town of Rochester and Ulster County, I think we should be open to that. Every reasonable person knows we need to build and create green infrastructure for the energy economy. We know electrical demand is not going down anytime soon. I think town of Rochester needs to lead Ulster County. Ulster County needs to lead New York. New York needs to lead the United States. The United States needs to lead the world. And it starts right here in town of Rochester. I think we should, if there's an opportunity to build green, clean energy infrastructure, we should absolutely take it and run with it. I understand their concerns. If the first responders need equipment or training to deal with potential fires, the minuscule possibility of these battery fires, I understand that's a risk. But status quo is also a risk. We're breathing horrible fossil fuels. We know our national leadership can't secure a steady supply of fossil fuels. Just look at the gas prices. I mean, this is absolutely something we should embrace and do. And the idea of a moratorium or NIMBYism is just, this is the problem, right? We know what we need to do. We have the ability to do it. Let's do it. Thank you.
Barbara Cornell, afterward, I totally disagree with the gentleman that just spoke. I feel that the moratorium is not saying that we're against it, it's saying it's giving us time to think about it and debate it and talk about it, so. I understand with green energy, for sure. But I feel like to rush into something without giving it time, which a moratorium allows the board to do, so. I would suggest that you consider the moratorium.
Or anyone else present who would like to speak on local law E? Do we have anyone who's joined us on Zoom that would like to speak on local law E? Please unmute yourself now. Going once, going twice. Okay. So this is a type 2 action under seeker. So it was referred to the Ulster County Planning Board and to our local, a couple of local departments and boards. So we need to hold the public hearing open until the referral period has ended. So I would like to make a motion to continue the public hearing for April 9th, 2026. That's our next meeting. And then at that time, we can decide when we how we wanna deal with closing.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Our next public hearing is for local law D of 2026. This is a local law repealing and replacing chapter 132 vehicle and traffic of the code of the town of Rochester. I'm opening that public hearing. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak on local law D of 2026? Is there anyone who's joined us on Zoom? Nora? Is there anyone who's joined us on Zoom who would like to speak on local law D of 2026, the vehicle and traffic law? Okay. So, just as a reminder, we only allow Zoom participation in public hearings right now, not during public comment. So for this, I would like to recommend that we hold this hearing open until April 9th as well.
Second.
Any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. So that means we will have those public hearings at our next meeting. But they don't need to be renoticed. Okay. So our next portion of the meeting. All right, so our next item on the agenda is the public comment portion of the meeting. This is our period during our meeting where the public may address the board on any topic. We hold the same guidelines that we do for our public hearings where the public is addressing the board directly. It is not a back and forth conversation. We do not respond to questions during this portion of the meeting. However, we encourage the public to stick around. If you have asked us questions for town board member time, where a board member might choose to respond to any questions, comments, or concerns that you have. So with that, I will open the public comment portion of the meeting. Is there anyone here who would like to address the board tonight? No? No, correct. So with that, I will close the public comment portion of the meeting, and it's now town board member time. Are there any board members that would like to speak on anything that's not on our agenda?
I have one thing I just want to speak on. I just wanted to say happy Women's Mental Health Awareness Month to everyone in the community and to especially all the ladies at my table here that share this seat with me and anyone who has before. On the table in the back of the room, there are calming stickers or self-care reminders or notes to self with positive affirmations on them, so you guys can help yourself. There's also some up here in front of me at the table, so just wanted to say that to everyone. Yeah, sorry, they're gonna be at my side again. So down.
Yeah, I do want to just address the green energy thing because speaking for myself, I don't have an issue with green energy. In fact, I support it. I think it's important that we advocate for it, that we find ways to make those types of things easier. But also from my perspective, the purpose of the moratorium is if you don't have clear guidelines in terms of how things should be done, where you want them done, what kinds of protections you have in there for neighboring properties, you can run into issues quickly. So, and we've seen this with other projects where, in fact, we have projects in front of the planning board right now where there are a lot of concerns in terms of impacts in neighborhoods, things like that. So I think, we're not looking to prevent this from small residential uses. This is really larger facilities and making sure that if there is going to be such a facility, that it's in the right area, that it has good access to fire and emergency vehicles. So, I think, I know 6 months seems like a long time, but it goes very fast. So I think just giving us a little bit of time to make sure that we have the right changes made to the code to ensure that that happens the way we want it to is important. So I don't think this board is in any way against green infrastructure. In fact, we've been taking steps to improve that the last few years. So.
Yeah, I'd like to echo what Michael said. I think this board generally wants to get there, but we are working in conjunction with our advisory committees to make sure that we get everything lined up so that we make the responsible choice. But I think generally you'll find this board generally supportive of these endeavors.
I also wanted to add about the storage facilities. We also have another moratorium that we will be proposing about data storage facilities with the same exact notion that Councilman Coleman pointed out, that it's not that we're saying no, never and banning them. We're saying they're not in our zoning code and we don't fully understand them and what their impacts are and what they could be on different parts of our community. So we're saying, can we have a little pause, a little time to breathe and make those codes? So I appreciate everyone to make comment always though, but just so in case you read it again in the paper, that it's a different moratorium and it'll be about data storage facilities, which are like cloud data storage or AI data storage and things like that. So those will be down the line. So don't think it's the same one over again. All right.
All set? Okay, great. So thank you. Thanks, everyone. I will be sharing some resources with the board that have been shared with me about the larger scale battery energy storage systems and we also have a model local law that has been prepared by New York State that we can start considering. And so just wanted to share that. We also received public comment back from two of our from the code enforcement office and the fire district, and we referred it to other boards, but they have until April 13th to issue their comments back to us. So we'll be waiting on those to take any further action. So,
Aaron, can I just add something to your county comment for the model code?
yeah.
I want to say, this morning, there were 2 senators that also called for a moratorium on battery storage facilities. Throughout the entire country to be presented, so, if Rochester set the trend, I'm just saying we did it first. So point that out too for the public, that it's a nationwide thing that's potentially going to be happening too,
Mhm.
so.
Okay.
I forgot to stop.
So financial report. Okay, so we usually do this part of our meeting at our business meeting, but we are doing it tonight. So for the financial report, my summary, all the reports are available to the town board and to the public. At the top of every agenda, we have a link that if you're looking at the digital version, takes you to a Google Drive folder that has all of our meeting backup in it. So that's where the financial reports are. The summary is for revenue, we received our tax levies. So our revenue this month is going to sound like a lot. So for the month of February, revenue received in general fund was $1,306,606.84. Revenue received in highway fund was $1,461,910.49. And revenue received in capital fund was $5.59. That's interest. And in street lighting fund, $8,451.61. Expenditures in general fund totaled $327,323.90. Highway fund, $189,608.82. Street lighting fund was $1,767.93. Any questions about the financials from the board?
The only thing I was curious about on the highway side. We spent almost a quarter of our budget for fuel, and then we were also really high on like oils and lubricants and parts.
So that is because I thought this had been completed, but the abstracts that are the 13, 14, 15, 16, only 2 of those got adjusted.
Okay.
So there's 3 more that you will see. And I double checked those numbers because I was looking through. So anything that seems like really, really off, it's most likely that.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll have that fixed by the end of the week. But for our next round of reporting, I'll share the budget versus actual year to date, so you'll be able to see that.
But we're on track for those things. We're not like.
Well, heating oil and stuff is a little tricky because we're like halfway through the season. So you will see like 50% usage in the first quarter, because then after that, we don't really use it again until the fall, right? But then our for driving, that stuff should be more like 25% levels. I'm happy to take a look in detail with the board at any point if you want to tease some of those numbers out. Okay, so I'd like to move on to the town reports. So for the supervisor's report, I wanted to start by talking a little bit about some of the changes that I am implementing for our meetings, and that's like the physical structure of the meeting. Our last meeting, I felt that we needed to implement some better safety protocols after that meeting. Most notably, we wanted to make sure that the ingress and egress of the room is always accessible. So I will not allow anyone to stand in front of the doors during our public meetings. So at every meeting, I will be putting up signs. I have them there now, to make sure that that area is clear. The second thing we did, and I just want to address, there was some interactions from the public at our last meeting that I could not really hear during the meeting. But I want to make it clear that every single board member at this table uses our computers during the meeting. This board is very dedicated, and when we're looking at our computers, we are engaging with the meeting. There is not, I will bet money that when our board is looking at their computers, they are either looking into something that the public said, they're looking up a document, or they're referencing our meeting materials, which are digital, because we are not making hundreds and hundreds of printouts of paper. So that came up where we had, the public was sort of on all sides, and I felt like it was really important to state that, because it's very appropriate for our board to be looking at their computer while we're in a public meeting. And additionally, this layout here allows us to face the public, for you to see us, and it gives us more room for the chairs to be further in so that we can make sure that the doorway is blocked. For the board and for the public, currently our only microphones are right here above me, so I'm very audible, and above the audience, right in the middle of the room. So I am trying to get us microphones for the board, but tonight for the board, if you could please project as much as you can, remembering that our microphone is like right above me. We will be implementing a new way of having the public address the board, which you see a preview of that in the room tonight. Second, after the meeting that we had on the 12th, I did, as promised, we reached out to GAR Associates, and I shared some of that correspondence with the board tonight. So we looked into the contract. We also heard that we needed more materials and communication with the public. So one of the things that my office, in conjunction with the assessor's office, has been doing is creating some materials for social media, the website, and just printouts that we have. We made a new one that I have tonight. And part of that is we're answering some of the questions that have come up. So I just want to direct everyone's attention to this handout that's in color. We are currently in the informal phase of the assessment process. That is now through April 30th. I know there's been some confusion because of the letters everyone received. You have until March 31st to file an informal review directly with GAR Associates. That is a digital process. However, anyone that does not feel comfortable using the computer may request a printout form, which I have now. So that can be requested directly through me. We're actually going to be doing a session on Saturday where I will also have those forms for anyone that decides that they want to proceed with an informal review. They do have to be submitted or postmarked by March 31st. The second part of this informal process is informal. We're calling them informal, but they're informal meetings with our town assessor. So the town assessor's office is now taking in-person appointments. also responds to emails and phone calls. So anyone that would like to discuss your assessment, your letter, have any questions about that, you may schedule an appointment with the town assessor by calling the office. So the reason why I'm saying this is informal is because it's before the tentative roll is filed. So anything that happens before the tentative roll is filed is just going to be published. Any changes that are made in response to the informal review or that the assessor makes when you meet with him are going to be published on the tentative roll. So if you turn the flyer over, after from May 1st and beyond, that's when we get into a more formal process, because that's what we must do legally through New York State. So May 1st is when the tentative roll is filed. Anyone that submits an informal review with GAR will receive a letter of determination that will reveal the results of your informal review. That should also be true for anyone that meets with the town assessor. But that is when the tentative roll is published. That's a public document. If you are unsatisfied with the outcome of your assessed value on the tentative roll, that's when we enter into the grievance process. And that's when a property owner can fill out the RP 524 form. It's a public document. It's available online. It's available at the assessor's office. I think it's on our website. So that is the official way to start the process of saying that you would like to contest what's published in the tentative roll. You may also meet with the assessor during this period, but because the tentative roll has been filed, if you have a consensual agreement with the assessor to lower that value of what's published in the tentative roll, that becomes what's called a stipulation. So that is actually part of that RP 24 form, and that takes the place of you going to grievance day. So that's basically you meeting with the assessor, and if you both agree that that value should actually be lowered based on property data, comparables, and whatnot, that becomes a more formal process. Any party that wishes to appear before the Board of Assessment review, totally your choice. That grievance day is May 26th. I just want to point out that even if you were to meet with the assessor now and talk about your assessed value, that's not the same as what we're talking about on the back of the sheet. So you can grieve that, you could decide that you wanted to grieve that number for whatever reason. However, once we move into the May 1st period, any agreement to lower you have with the assessor, that is, you are waiving your right to appear before the Board of Assessment review for a lower assessed value. If you are unhappy with what happens at the Board of Assessment review or what is published on the final roll, you have another chance to contest your assessed value, and that is through the Small Claims Assessment Review, or SCAR. So that is what this.
Clarification.
Yeah.
Property owners do not have to appear before the Board of Assessment review, they just have to submit it.
Okay, great, sorry, yeah, correct, thank you for that clarification. Okay, great, so, we are continuing to, a lot of people have been meeting with the assessor. Basically, the booking calendar has been full, and it's been really, really helpful, and I encourage people to do that before filing that RP 524 form. You can still meet with the assessor and decide you want to do that, but it's really helpful to meet with him first, because he might be able to answer questions or clarify anything or make you feel at ease just with that meeting. So we're really encouraging that. Okay. So moving on, to the rest of my supervisor report. What? Oh, I was gonna let you do that. But I'm just doing my supervisor report. Okay, so for correspondence, there's a folder that is in the SharePoint drive for the board that has a bunch of correspondence in it. Just highlights of that for the board are our kennel passed the inspection from Ag and Markets. That's an annual inspection. I received correspondence regarding the Ride for Mental Health, which comes through the town of Rochester every June. We just ask for insurance certificates and we notify all appropriate parties that there'll be the bike ride through the town. It's a really amazing awareness campaign, and it raises money for mental health awareness and treatment.
What date is that?
It is the email is in it's like the 26th, I think. Let me just pull up the correspondence folder.
27th and 28th.
Yes, thank you. Great, faster than me. 27th and 28th. And there are different rides that you can sign up for. And then the last high level correspondence is there was a $90 million grant program called the Roadway Safety Action Plan Program that what was closed and awarded in 2025. There's still $60 million available in this fund. So they've reopened the application window. The deadline to apply for that is April 17th. The reason why there's so much money left in that fund is because the application is pretty difficult. I have asked Councilman Nguyen to take a look into it to see if it's worth us looking into, because we have one of our priority issues this year is roadway safety and speed limit reduction on town roads and some of the roads that go through our town that are not town roads. So it's possible that we could put something together, but before we dive in, it's always going to take a look at that. So for my supervisor's report, I'm just going to go through some of the higher level updates of what my office has been involved in. So on St. Patrick's Day luncheon, at the St. Patrick's Day luncheon, we had a plumbing disaster, I would say, in the community center, which led to a few days of troubleshooting the issue. It turned out that we had a blocked pipeline to our septic tank. If that gives you any clue as to why it was a disaster. It was thought that that is years and years and years of blockage. So we got that cleared out, and I would just like to give a special shout out to Councilman Coleman for getting in there.
Oh, boy.
And probably save the town some money because he was working with the plumber to get that unclogged. And unfortunately, I didn't take any photos of that. But we did receive some advice on changing up some of what we're doing, and we will be installing in signage, because from what we saw, there's some things happening that should not be happening in terms of what would lead to the clogged pipe, like paper towels and some things that maybe are coming through the kitchen sink drains. The red code enforcement vehicle that we were thinking of scrapping, the highway department did fix that up and remove the lights from it so that they could utilize it for a couple things this year where they need to have like an additional vehicle. However, that is going to be available to any staff member, so I will be talking about that at my next department meeting. So the lights have been removed from that, though, thankfully. So if you see that vehicle driving around, that is why. We also are getting pricing to replace all the fluorescent light bulbs in the community center to LED. So it looks like that project is going to happen this year. And I am gonna see if any of the rebate programs are available that we had last year for that. I would like to give a special thanks to Stacy, my clerk, who worked to get all of our reimbursement paperwork in to the county, and we received our full reimbursement for the park bathroom for that grant. That was $100,000. So that is completely tied off now. It feels really good for that to be tied off. The final tying off of that will be the grand opening of the park bathroom at the end of April. We have been working to support the courthouse with the JCAP project that we were able to reallocate funds for some purchases. Our goal is to be done with that by the end of April so that we're cleared to qualify for the next round of JCAP funding that opens in July. In my office, my bookkeeper, Stephanie, did the PTO reconciliation. So that's taking paid time off, our records, reconciling them with ADP, which is what the employees see. So that's kind of a huge project because there's certain things in our policy manual that are that we're not able to write into ADP, but that's all up to date. We are doing that 2 times a year. She also caught up on all the billing for retirees, and then we have some shared services. So we have some billing that we do for our animal control officer and the Cohonson First Aid Unit, which is some things that are in our contract. Related to that, the billing for their heating fuel is done through the town, and we are trying to see if we can offset that. So because it's a lot of administrative work on our end. So that might be a change that we are implementing, and we will definitely communicate with KPAS about that. We passed the key policy this year, and we now have a key cabinet, which is really exciting. We have a spreadsheet. Stacy did a full inventory of all town keys. We are establishing a numbering system and a master key system. That's almost all set. So once we do that, we will be issuing numbers for every single key that every single staff or official has, and they will all be connected to the position and the name of that person. So I'm really excited to be bringing the key policy project to its full implementation in the coming 2 weeks. Looks like Municolab is adding an escrow tracker to the planning board software program. So we had a demo of that, and are excited to have that because it'll really streamline the process that we go through in my office and the process that the planning board goes through for that. I think the board knows that we've had like a lot of building maintenance issues. It's definitely something that we need to address, budget for, plan for. One of the things that we are working on right now is just creating an annual maintenance schedule for buildings, which has not existed at all. So that is, we will actually have like paper on clipboards, because that's kind of the easiest way to track things, that will then be uploaded into a master database where we can track all maintenance for everything, for all the buildings, maintenance and issues, costs, and things like that. So my last kind of big update is Bridge New York projects. I sent an update to the Boyce Mill Bridge bounding property owners, alerting them that there will be tree work happening soon that will be clearing the trees necessary for the bridge project. For the town board's knowledge, we will be receiving the bid package from our consultant, HPEA, soon. It has been in the hands of the Department of Transportation. They have to do the final approval, so HVA is working on the recommended amendments that the Department of Transportation has issued to them. I requested that they send us that version ahead of getting the final sign off from the Department of Transportation in case the board has anything that you see in it that you would like changed, because the Department of Transportation has to approve any changes. So I don't want you guys to get it and then want to change something after we've already gone through that process. Just for the board, we do have to do a 3-week minimum to advertise that. Our goal is a June 1st, an early June start date for the actual construction of the bridge. The Sundown Culvert project has started. It is beginning with environmental studies. The staff of our consultant does have letters from the town that they will be keeping on person. So if anyone sees people around the Sundown Culvert taking some samples of the groundwater or the bedrock or anything like that, that is part of the environmental review process that is required by the state for the Bridge New York program. There won't be any construction work happening on that. So the construction for the Sundown Culvert and the Project 32 bridge is slated for 2027. And that is my supervisor report. Kate.
Okay.
Sorry.
Town clerk, for the month of February, $26,106.30 was collected. We are currently in a New York State burn ban that will stay in effect till May 14th. We are in the process of going through a large volume of foils at this time. That is taking up quite a bit of my time, and I'm looking for some contracts that I haven't been able to find from the 90s, hoping to find them in minutes regarding Williams Lumber and Rail Trail. So I don't know if you have anything in your office regarding that. I've yet to find anything.
Okay.
But they're trying to find a contract agreement between Williams Lumber.
Okay.
For tax collectors, $7,997,555 has been collected. We have not $1,935,000 left to collect. Unpaid notices will go out in the end of April with a final date of June 1st to pay before it's turned over to the county. And that's all I have for.
I also forgot to recognize Kate and the clerk's office for all the support you've been offering to the community during the reval process. So I think I know that that's been a very large volume of calls, and you have been very kind and communicative and compassionate with the public. And I wanted to recognize you, and I'm sorry that I didn't do that before, but I just want to thank you guys for that. I think it's had a really positive impact. So on I have a highway report. The winter was very rough on the roads. Please have patience as the crew tries to patch the holes. There is a lot of road work happening this spring and summer. Keep an eye on the highway Facebook page for updates on closures or delays. This is from Superintendent Jeff Fry. I would like to thank the residents for their patience and understanding this past winter. It's been many years since we have experienced a winter like this. Lastly, I would like to thank my crew for the excellent job they did keeping the roads clear at all hours of night and day. Job well done. And then I have department reports, you guys. So from the code enforcement office, I have the report of permits issued 26. Permits revoked, suspended is 0, violations 38. Certificates of occupancy issued 33, certificates of completion issued 7. Complaint investigations 3, FOIL requests 6, municipal searches 12, office encounters 38. And 1 old court case. And I believe there are some court cases coming. Word on the street. So then, I'm sorry, I'm just pulling up my digital files. I have a. So for the, so I have a rec department report, so this might also cover, the commission. And this was for the March 12th meeting, so I'll try to adjust it for the Town of Rochester St. Patrick's Day Luncheon was on March 13th at the community center. It was a very well attended event. The annual Easter egg hunt will take place on Saturday, March 28th at the town park. Please call to sign up. I believe the signups were, the deadline for that, I think, was the 25th, but you can still call the office and check in. Hoping for nice weather this year, the Easter Bunny will be hopping by again, so bring your camera. It's going to be sunny and cold. They'll be offering photos with the Easter Bunny on April 1st and 2nd by appointment. Please call the Recreation Department for more information. There was a paint class on Tuesday, March 24th. On March 25th, they had the first teen club. So that is a program that our youth liaison has put together, and it's for teens, run by teens. There is adult supervision provided. If you're interested, call the Recreation Department. Summer program registration is quickly approaching. Doors open at 9 a.m. Monday, April 13th. Paperwork will be available on the website starting Monday, March 23rd. So it's there now. All pertinent information can be found there. There are a couple of small changes this year. Please be sure to read the paperwork in its entirety. Feel free to call the rec department with questions. Line dancing has been postponed until sometime in April. We will inform the public when the instructor is ready to begin classes again. And this is from Rec Director Ashley Sweeney. I'm very pleased to announce that one of our seniors, Marjorie Bogert, was nominated and has been chosen as one of Ulster County's Seniors of the Year. She will be honored in Albany in May, along with other outstanding seniors from the state of New York for their contributions to their local communities. Congratulations, Marge, well deserved. And oops. Have another report. So we have from the constabulary, there were 10 direct calls for service, 6 neighbor to neighbor complaints, 4 resident traffic complaints, Cedar Drive, Whitfield Drive, Clay Hill, and Medicahonts. And there are 9 court proceedings that remain open. And it is now time. So, Councilman Nguyen, I put the town justice update under town reports rather than
Okay.
board and commission. So do you have anything to report?
Michael Coleman and I met with the justices and clerks and went over the courthouse's records for the last year. found them to be in good order, and would like to thank the clerks and the justices for their assistance in helping us through that process. No major findings at all, and things seem to be kept up to date.
Great. And there's gonna be new carpet soon. Okay, so board and commission reports. Now's the time of the meeting where I don't have to talk. So starting with town historian and town clerk, Kate Gumber, Historic Preservation Commission.
Okay, the HPC met on March 16th. They are in the beginning stages of planning a pre-revolutionary era Stonehouse bus tour. They've been mapping it out, and the next step is now to reach out to owners of these homes to see if they would be interested in that. We are excited to announce a community-driven project to create a comprehensive Rochester farm inventory database, highlighting operating dairy and chicken farms throughout the town of Rochester. This initiative is spearheaded by Jim Ayers, the HPC, and along with dedicated community members. If you would like to get involved, please feel free to reach out to myself or Jim Ayers. The committee members have been assigned maps based on their voting district to help identify and document the farm names and locations. A great way to get involved. It's really more than a project. It's a chance to take a trip down memory lane, celebrate our agricultural roots, and preserve local history for future generations. There will be a public gathering June 13th at 10 a.m. at the Harold Lipton Community Center, where you are going to see the findings and they're going to place them on the map, and light refreshments will be served. And in August, the Whitfield Hamlet Talk series will take place at the Accord Speedway. I thought that's a great opportunity, seeing that was a big part of the field area. And I just want to give recognition to Rick Ryden. He was a gentleman in the town of Rochester that passed away this week, and he was a history teacher at Rondat Valley High School and a huge member to Friends of Historic Rochester. And he was a gentleman that was just filled with a wealth of information. And when he talked to you, he made you visually feel like you were there. And that's a huge loss to this community. And I just wanted to recognize him. And that's it.
Charlotte, housing and alternate.
For housing, I attended their last meeting, this month. They were mostly working through, what their next steps to do before we get the actual award contract for the, pro housing grant, and we can start the work on that. So they're trying to, bounce back ideas on how they could get started, or maybe things they could do to start that process or prep work for us for anything. So they're excited about that. They also are going to start investigating and doing some research about trailer parks and about our mobile homes park law in our code, and make some recommendations to the board for any changes that they might find, or additions or substitutions that it needs in there. And then the Ellie Care program, I completely lost my report and don't have the memory of what it said after the last meeting, so apologies for that. I will get it to you guys. I don't remember it being anything of note, though, that there was, I think it was business as usual, and I don't remember any new signups. And the only other thing I want to say is kind of backing off of what Kate said about our late history teacher from Rondout, is that our community also lost a our very own Doc Gibbs this past week. Dr. Rose DeLeo from Kerhonkson passed away, and her services were held. I graduated with Rose's daughter and her husband, or Rose's son and her husband was a counselor for a very long time, one of the best at Rondat Valley High School. So just my heart's out to them. When I was there, it was about a 40-minute wait at the services to get through to everyone. So just my love and condolences out to the family and to the community, and I was gonna ask if we could close a moratorium to both of those, local, impactful, residents that passed away.
So will you help me remember that?
Yes, yeah, I'll write it on the other line so I don't forget.
Thanks, Charlotte.
Mhm.
Alexis.
This will be a little bit brief because I think I have 2 or 3 other discussion items, but just to be. Agricultural committees straightforward because they haven't met this previous period, but I think the next meeting's going to convene in April. So for Climate Smart, a bunch of Climate Smart members attended the ECC meeting. Everybody met each other, so we'll talk a little bit later about the prospective merger of those 2 groups. Rooted in Rochester, which is our Rochester's initiative for the Funding Futures Grant, met on a very, very loud and boisterous St. Patrick's Day to go over the ballot. And so as soon as we figure out how to streamline the projects, the ballots will go out to everybody in Rochester to vote. And so that's really exciting. And then the community will have their say in terms of which projects they would like to continue for the next phase of that grant process. See, so that's Climate Smart. ECC, we'll talk a little bit more about Packamig Live and battery storage. ECC would like everybody in Ulster County to know that free PFAS testing for Ulster County is that is through the DEC, I think. So everybody that has a well should take advantage of the free PFAS testing. They're planning an Earth Day trash pickup celebration and possibly a nature walk. So stay tuned for community involvement in that project. And then I've got, the notes about the members for the merge. But that's it, except for the Packamig and the merger.
Can I ask you, the county executive was asking me about our area farmers' interest in cold storage at Tech City. And I said I could refer it to the Agricultural Advisory Committee for them to kind of come up with.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you want me to send you an email?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you
I'll
can
pass
ask
it
them
over.
about it. Okay,
Yeah, thank you.
great. Michael.
Yeah, can I just ask, where are the details on the PFAS testing?
Oh, I think we're gonna share them on the town website and Facebook page.
If you Google it.
Yeah, it's getting around.
Let me go out of order. Thanks. So zoning board of appeals. So I'm trying to work through updates from both meetings. So in the February 19th meeting, just an interesting, Mary Lou can jump in and correct me if I'm misunderstanding, but there's an interesting kind of interaction between that shows the complexity of the different boards and how they interoperate. So there was a procedural question that came up in terms of an appeal of determination made by Code Enforcement Office in November last year. That was a question about a distinction between lot line improvements and subdivisions. And the planning board actually had a position on this and made a decision based off of their interpretation, which was how the ZBA became involved. And it just brought up a few issues in terms of procedures, what the appeals process looks like and timing. And I know that's something that being discussed in terms of documents in Unicolab and how people have access to different documents. I think there's also, questions about mootness and where the ZBA has the ability to weigh in on certain things because ZBA typically hears appeals from code enforcement, but doesn't hear appeals from planning board decisions. And so there was some conversation and they were talking with Mary Lou about, what specific actions could be taken. So just goes to show that, you know, sometimes the lines between these different boards and how these things happen can get muddy and need clarification because there is a lot of interactions and they are independent boards that operate in their own kind of domains. In the March 19th meeting, so they did have a public hearing that needed to be rescheduled because of an issue with the noticing. I don't know if that was rescheduled. If I had redone that.
Yes, that's gonna be in April.
Is that in the 16th, on the 16th meeting? April 16th?
Yes.
If that's the third
Yeah, that's it.
Thursday it is.
Now we're looking at that date today.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's it. They also had an area variance, a pretty standard area variance that they were discussing. And then again, there's another interaction between the boards related to an application for Verizon Wireless and Granite LLC. And essentially, because of the specifics of seeker, ZBA can't actually act until the planning board completes their portion of it. And so there's conversations about variances related to heights and things like that. And they can't actually address those until planning board has completed their portion of the process. So again, you know, there's just different ways in which people interact with these boards and different situations in which one or the other becomes involved. And it kind of shows both them interoperating, but also the fact that they're discrete boards and operate independently of one another. So in terms of the planning board, in the March 2nd meeting, they had 4 items and they were doing some secret stuff related to the Verizon, proposed Verizon tower. Most of the stuff that they talked about were procedural approvals, corrections to maps, things like that. They had multiple public hearings at their last meeting. I think they had 3 that were on topic there. And they're continuing, I think the biggest project they're working on right now, well, there's 2 big projects, but the Verizon tower seems like they're getting closer to a decision on that. So I know there's a lot of public interest in that. And I think they're targeting to have more information in their April meetings. Town of Rochester Exchange, so Supervisor Now and I met with some representatives from the clothing exchange recently. Had some discussions about ideas to streamline that process. It's obviously been a very successful program. A lot of people are coming, donating clothes, and also diverting waste from landfills and actually reusing clothing and getting it out to people who need it. And helping to save on transfer station fees, so that's a good thing. We're also talking about a more permanent structure for them to store some of the donations that they receive that's on site that's going to be easy to get to. So the volunteers there are actually coordinating to raise some funds towards that, and they're going to get a shed, which we still need to talk with the rec folks and get the specific details about where it's going to be located and what the delivery timeline looks like. So that's something we can look at. And then the idea would be that we would have an MOU, I know it's on the agenda for today, where that shed could become part of town property. And eventually, I think the goal is to find people that will continue that program and make sure that there's enough volunteers to keep it going. It's been really successful. What do I have? Oh, ambulance improvement district. So we did finalize the contract for the Rochester district with KFAS. So I think I saw that we got the fully executed version of that back. So that had all of the requested changes from both our committee, our board, the county representatives that gave us feedback, and then KFAS had a few requests that we discussed and reviewed with Mary Lou, and so that's all approved. Marbletown First Aid Unit, I do have that updated contract for 2026. I just need to review that with Mary Lou and Erin, and then we'll hopefully get that executed. I did see that we got some reports from KFAS and from Marbletown First Aid Unit. I haven't had a chance to review them all in detail, and I know there's been some new things we requested, so just want to confirm that those have everything we need, and then the board can discuss. And I'm planning on meeting with the committee next week to kind of go over that. And I'm sure, as people are aware, there's been some leadership changes at KFAS as well. So I've been communicating with the chief over there and getting some more information about some of the steps that they're taking to address the things that we're requesting in the new contract. And they affirmed, you know, operationally, things are going well, they're making the calls out, they're helping people that are calling 911. So we appreciate what both those squads are doing in terms of the town. And then in terms of, I'll just add responsibilities as town septic liaison. I just also want to thank our highway department.
I'm not sure
because,
that, I think there's a better name for that.
I was not the only one got in the hole, and so our highway crew also
Yeah.
participated. I appreciate all of them being willing to get dirty as well. I feel very close to the town after that. Very close.
There's some history in there.
There
You
was
might need a
picture.
deputy, emergency management director.
Oh,
I said deputy.
yeah. I was told our current emergency director is available next time. Back to septic. Did
You need a cell tower to take your.
Did you want to talk about the sessions?
Sure, we can do that right now. So. In response to a lot of the feedback we've received regarding the townwide reval, as I walked everyone through, we're in the informal stage of this process until April 30th. So one of the pieces of feedback that we received is while many people have come in to see the assessor and many people have submitted for informal reviews, we could be missing people that aren't available during normal business hours, so 8 to 4, Monday through Friday, or individuals that accessing this through the computer is just really not something that is possible for them. So we will be holding some weekend sessions in conjunction with the assessor's office. The first one, I think we kind of scheduled it and confirmed it just today. So the first one is Saturday. We have been trying to get the word out verbally to people that we know are in touch with people that really could use something on the weekend. And we will be posting that on the town website and everything. So the first one is this Saturday, and then we have plans to have sessions every weekend in April. And that will be, it's still relevant because people can still meet with the assessor during that period and have an informal sit-down review. And if there are issues with the comparables, or if there's property data that's incomplete or inaccurate, he can make those adjustments using the data model, and it will generate a number that will then be reflected on the tentative roll. So that's why we are doing this through the month of April, because while GAR has a closeout of their informal review of March 31st, because he's doing it person by person, he can do it through the whole month of April. We are encouraging people that already filed an informal review. You can await word from GAR so that we're not working double, but definitely call and ask any questions. And anyone can come to these sessions. We're hoping it'll be more one-on-one or small groups with the assessor or an official or someone to walk through the process with people. So we're encouraging people who even just have questions and want to understand. I've gotten a lot of questions from people, and myself and the board, we're happy to answer to any questions that people have. Anywhere from why did you contract with an outside firm, to walk me through my letter, to what are my rights throughout this whole process, to, hey, how do I collect data for my property? So we're going to be there to help walk people through the process.
Time and location for Saturday?
Saturday at the community center from 2 to 4.
Are we involving the Board of Assessment with you at this point?
No.
So you want, those are like a separate.
They're totally
to deal
separate,
with
yeah,
grievance
yes,
process.
yeah, they wouldn't be able to be involved.
Okay, I was just talking to somebody today on the board and they were kind of curious about keeping those separate.
Yeah,
I do know we probably have to wait till May 1st, but I have had several people reach out to me to want to know what grievance day is gonna look like, because they're under the assumption there's no way we're gonna be able to get through all that in one
Okay.
day. So I don't know, I mean, that very well may have to wait until after May 1st, but those are definitely some concerns. And if there was any way that there could be a step-by-step on how to fill out the paperwork, because they find it very overwhelming. So those are two things I've heard this week.
that first one is a great question, and what I can say is that the Board of Assessment Review can decide to hold grievance day open longer.
Okay.
So, that is not up to anyone but the board.
Okay.
But they can do that
Okay.
if it's if the volume, and people can file that form and they'll get an idea.
Right.
But you don't have to file it in advance, you can just come. But if we do a year where we're doing a townwide reval, we expect grievance day to be packed.
Right.
More packed than normal.
Right. Okay.
I know that in past years, they've had a signage, you've been able to set up an appointment.
Yeah,
For the grievance day itself. So you don't have to sit around and just wait till the first opening, so that helps a lot, so that people aren't wasting time.
my understanding is that is how they are doing it, but I think it's great, we're trying to keep sending those questions because we wanna prepare the public as much in advance for this entire process. And we do wanna be as transparent as possible. And sometimes we don't know, sometimes we're not fully aware of what's not clear. So no question is too small, and we're really trying to get this information out there, so.
Yeah, and Kate, if there are things that people are saying is confusing, we can make videos and put them on the website, like here's the information that goes in the form. So we just need to know, to Aaron's point, we need to know what is confusing and what people need help with.
Okay. So I did the rec report. So we're moving on to discussion items. We have a pretty long list. Some of them are I'm just introducing an idea. So number one, what I want to bring up right now, 2026 budget modifications. So it's we're about to close out the first quarter. I know I'm aware of, how much fund balance we are proposing to add to, that we're using to fund general fund this year. I'm also aware of all of the, maintenance property issues that we've had. So, I'm projecting that we might need to do some fund balance modifications. So that is when we decide to move more fund balance into general fund to fund unplanned expenditures. Tonight, I'm actually proposing that we wipe out contingency. So that means that we don't, other than deciding not to do something or moving, like seeing something that was underspent, we don't have a lot of wiggle room. What I would like to bring up tonight is, now that we have a full-time code enforcement officer that is very dedicated and working very hard, there have been several things that have come up that were not foreseen because this wasn't on the radar in previous years. So number one, and I predictably left some things in the printer. So they requested that we look into additional software programs for processing violations, because it's really important that a violation notice, as I think we've received feedback recently, a violation notice be incredibly clear, list the violations and the sections of code so that it's really clear to the person receiving it what they need to do to remedy. And what that looks like now is our code enforcement officer is going through the code book and typing into a Word document from the sections of code. What a violation software would do is it would pull those for him so that he would just be, it would be more automated. They're synced up with the code, with the state codes, and you can put the town codes in them. I got a quote and I printed them out and I left them in the picture. I got a quote from the one that you had recommended. And the amount on it, it's not, so I would not say that this is, unreasonable, but it's a bigger sum than what we budgeted for software. So it's in the $10,000 to $15,000 range in the first year. So, while I think that that is really going to streamline the process, it's more well over what we budgeted. That is for 3 licenses that utilize the software and 1 that is a viewer. And for this amount, I would need to get quotes. So we can't make a decision tonight, but I would need to get quotes and I would need to do budget modifications for this.
What's the name of the software package?
The one that I did a demo of is Comcate. I know of lots of others, but this is one that he had asked me to look into first.
Comcate, like.
Comcate, COMCATE.
2 questions. 1, what is the second year and annual cost afterward? And 3, how does that tie into the update of our code on eco?
So yeah, that is a great question. So the annual license fee, so that's, I'm trying not to I'm trying to do ballpark figures. So there is, let's see, about a third of that is the one-time
So-
implementation.
So say 10 to 12.
Then with this, because we do have a contract with Unicolab for our permitting side, and they're new, they're still developing their systems. But if we did this, because usually, as Keith was telling me, usually these are separate. So your violations is a little different from issuing permits. So we can keep the one that we've built out. And it wouldn't really, those two aren't like talking to each other.
Do they have an estimate on how much staff time they could save?
So I'm working with the department on that. Those are the second and third parts of my, so I think the other thing is we've been talking about, so with the boards, I kind of want to lay this out and then get some direction from you, and then that I can communicate back to the department and work with them on an action plan for resourcing the department. So I've noticed they can't keep up right now with the backlog, and one of the things that I was thinking is one thing that could help is hiring a fire safety inspector, because that would free up the inspection schedule, because our code enforcement officer is doing everything. He's doing the violations, he's doing all the inspections, he's doing all the determinations, and he's the only one right now who can do the solo. If we were to hire a fire safety inspector, it could be seasonal, it could be a couple days a week, but that person could handle like the short-term rentals, the we have an annual schedule of inspections. So, and I think that that would be easier than hiring a new clerical staff member, which eventually we will be probably expanding. Like our current staff will be moving up into more inspection type positions. And then we will be adding, but that's not for this year.
So my preference would, I mean, my considerations would be if this saves staff time and can delay the hiring of somebody else or reduce the hours that somebody else would have to do, I'm all for it. Also keeping in mind that a lot of the actual inspections is fee generating. That
Yeah.
can partially offset the cost of that additional.
Correct,
staff.
yeah. And I want to add that the violation software, I'm talking about both of these things. I don't know if that's what you meant. Also, anything that we do for the violations, it's like a 3-month implementation time. So we're
Yeah.
like, yeah. So we're on the same page with the fire safety inspector. So, now I would want the code enforcement officer to be heavily involved in the hiring process. So that we make sure that he will be overseeing that person and make sure that he feels that they are, fully up to date on the fire safety code. Then, the third is just that they are issuing more violations, more notices, more communications. So, they are probably going to, and they're doing certified mailings to make sure that people are receiving them, which I think is very responsible. But that means that they're most likely going to blow through. We're watching it, but they're most likely going to need to like double their postage budget this year, which is pretty high, but they're doing right now, they're doing like 10 certified mailings a week, they think. And so that's, $100. Yep.
A little lower.
Yeah. So, I want them to do those things that, we want them to have the resources. Then we're also talking about body cam. So this is all stuff that we did not budget for. And I don't have that in the budget. So I wanted to bring this up to the board and get a little bit of input from you so that I can keep moving forward with working with the department.
Are there offsetting revenues?
Well, I do have a presentation of local laws from code enforcement that addresses that.
Yeah, because like if you have to cure an issue, you may have to pay to restore a permit or things like that.
Yeah, so that's part of, yes, that. Do you want me to do the whole package?
Well,
So-
I'm curious because if we're sending out more violations, that's increasing revenue of people who have to cure those violations because they working without a permit or the permit expired or whatever, that may offset some of the costs and make it worthwhile to invest to kind of streamline the process.
Part of what's tricky is once something goes to court, it's kind of out of our hands in terms of like it being a quote unquote revenue. So one of the things and I just forward this to Mary Lou, because I don't know how this works. One of the things that they have requested is that we have a fee for processing violations.
Right.
Which we don't have right now because of they are like the taxpayers right now are covering these. And we don't know if anything's gonna come of us pursuing it financially until they go before the
Well,
court.
you're rarely gonna cover your legal costs if you have to go to court. And so what I think you want to try to do is, first of all, not look at the fees as a revenue source per se, but only to offset any expenditures that you have to do to collect this. And ultimately, our goal is compliance and safety.
Yep.
And so if by sending out a certified letter with a very detailed list of the specific violations that need to be cured, your chance of success in getting those violations cured without having to go to court are probably lower than a prolonged process with a lot of ambiguity. So I think that you could probably preclude the number of cases that you have to take to court, and also find a less expensive way for property owners who are in violation to cure those
Yeah.
those violations. Which I think would, and that revenue, that potential revenue, as limited as it may be, would offset the actual cost of managing the process. And what, from what I hear you're saying is that a lot of the costs that you're talking about is like for the body cams and for the setup of the fee are one-time upfront costs that are an investment in sort of future compliance.
So is the board amenable to a fee for violations for? And then Mary Lou, do you know if we can do that?
I have never heard of that. So I will look into it. Basically, as Ollie said, those things aren't really revenue. When you do have fees or to cover your expenses in whatever you're processing. I will look into that. Maybe there's some part of the state where everybody has it, but I've not heard of it. But
Right.
I can look into it. I can't answer you off the cuff.
I think that what you can do is, instead of calling it a fee for enforcement, is recoup some of it through an amendment of your fee schedule, like for a second and third inspection, increase those amounts to resolve the issues and close them out.
Mhm.
But I've never seen a violation fee just from setting out a violation. I've never seen a violation processing fee.
Right, yeah, I think that's kind of, we have to think about how to.
Well, we have to figure out how to optimize the fee
Right,
schedule.
cause like the other thing is like, I hear what you're saying, but for a town, revenue is always just offsetting our expenditures. And I guess what we're seeing is we need to increase expenditures for the department. And there are some things that there is a lot of work and investment, as Ollie was saying, going into that we do not have something covering that expense. And so that's sort of the logic is like, we want the department to cover, we want the fees to cover the operational costs of the department, not the overhead costs necessarily, but the operational
Marginal
costs.
work.
Yeah,
But the other thing to know is that by having, like, in terms of the detailed letter, using a violation system, you're, in the long run, you can say you're saving yourself money because you're in a better position if it does go to litigation.
oh, absolutely.
I mean, you're saving a huge amount of legal billing for just catch-up stuff that
Absolutely.
done at the outset.
Not to mention the fact that it is all done in the field, so you're not having to go there, remember stuff, come back. And I think it's more accurate, it streamlines the process. There's, photographs, all the stuff can go together and you can print it, and there's also a digital record that's created following the entire process.
Yeah, I also think, there's balance, right? I think we need to prioritize health and safety issues. I think we also need to find a way, like, we want to go after people that are willfully violating things. Like, somebody makes a mistake, I don't want them to suddenly get a $300 fee or whatever if they forget to get a permit. If somebody intentionally is like misleading the code enforcement office and doesn't have like the appropriate fire and safety equipment or something like that, I think that's a different story. So I just want to make sure that if we are doing that, if we are setting up fees related to that, that we're focusing on, intentional offenders and making sure that we're prioritizing safety and we understand that people make mistakes.
Well, we have to make sure that we're being constitutional, so you can't like
Right.
discriminate or target specific people.
No, no, no.
So
I'm-
I guess the way to do that would be like an escalating
Right.
structure.
Right, an initial warning system, and then if the violation continues, then you can have escalating issues. I think that's my point, because I don't want the first offense, I wouldn't want the first offense on a minor thing to suddenly be, a huge dollar amount.
But that goes with balance and finding, making sure that the cure periods
Right,
are reasonable and not unjustly tight.
I also don't like parking meters, but, I think in terms of the software side of things, I just want to make sure we're looking at our total annual cost, because we have Munich Lab, which we're paying for code enforcement and buildings and planning board, DocuShare, we have Microsoft Suite, now we're talking about this Comcade. I just want to make sure it's not overkill or something, we can't use an existing tool or make a form that's gonna make their lives easier while we kind of investigate. So I'll look into the product as well, but if it's something that is really for a high volume, I just want to make sure that before we commit to a recurring annual cost, that we know that it's gonna be used and there's no other way that we can do it. Initially,
It's also subscription software prices never go down.
right,
Correct.
It's yeah, an annuity for the provider.
One of the concerns I have, this, like, just, financially, is that doing these budget modifications, these are not expenses that are gonna go away, right? So, I'm trying to make a commitment to keep, to, our tax cap this year, but if we're increasing these expenditures in this way, we have to find a way of funding them. Now, that's where looking at the fee schedule comes into play, but it's never a guaranteed source. So I think, you only have that if you have the issue. So that's another part of the balance, is like, what's the volume going to be once we get through the first year? So, I think a fire safety inspector, that's sort of we've had them some years, we haven't had them other years, so that one I can see.
We've also never replaced it. We appointed our fire inspector as our code enforcement officer and
Yeah.
never replaced that
Correct.
position.
Correct.
In physical hours of a person capable of doing those things, so I fully support us adding that back in. However, we want to figure out and structure it for seasonal or not. I do think that with the positions that are like this, or like the temporary clerk that was in the clerk's office, I think that we could get more creative potentially with like how we structure those. Same with like, we still hire like a seasonal person for highway for some reason. I know we don't control that, but like, there's certain seasonal jobs that we have that I think that we could maybe be creative with our structuring for them. To make it so someone could still have longevity in them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also not break the town's budget, you know what I mean? Like if there's someone who, it happens to be summers, they're a teacher who's a fire inspector and they're off on July and August, then we make the season July and August, that type of being flexible and creative with it. Our emergency emergency services manager happens to be a fire inspector, has some free time in March.
Has the department given you like a prioritized list of what they would prefer over it? Yeah.
I didn't,
I'm working on that. It's, I can sympathize with the feeling of, this is like the 10th time I've said it this week, but everything, everywhere, all at once, like they're diving in a new way to this work. And I think it's a huge learning process. And so I wanted to have the conversation with the board, because I think it's our job to be fiscally responsible and to, make sure that there's balance, but also take care of the needs of the department, because this is, we have been saying that we want to ensure that our laws and codes are being enforced. So what I'm hearing is that we want to be very careful and considerate with any software. In terms of that contractual obligation, and also it's a long process. So I don't want to get something that then we're like, we hate this.
I mean, yeah, Erin, I have a question about that. Do
Yeah.
any of these, do any of these interact with our assessor's office?
Yes,
Which ones?
any of
This
them,
Proposed one
this-
would do that?
this one
or-
does not, because this one is
Municipal
just
does that.
violation.
Okay, so Municipal currently does that? or
Not-
has the capability.
It has the
to do that?
capability, Municity has that capability. And then like the GoGov one has that. So you just basically write an automated workflow where they receive,
Hmm.
once something hits a stage, they automatically receive those documents.
But we haven't done any of that.
Nope.
From there, because so my concern is I am fine with supporting the code enforcement office with. Whatever tools they find necessary to complete that job. My concern with a lot of things that we've heard public comment on, or just in general that I've heard over the past few years from this seat, is the. Holes in the communication or the workflow of things, so like a lot of the issues with people's homes not being fully brought up to
Yeah,
assessment value was because. We had a code enforcement officer that didn't close them out until his last day of work. With us, so for all those years, the assessor never knew that these were done and that they even had an active building permit for the improvements to look out for them. Because the info, like, there wasn't that, so I wanna make sure that we're making whatever. We do while supporting the code enforcement officer's job, I wanna make sure that we're making it an easier, more direct line between. The assessor and the code enforcement office, especially since they're in separate buildings for our town. It makes it even easier for, if anyone ever played telephone schools.
Yeah.
It's hard once it goes through, but if it's an automatic workflow, as soon as, like how the planning board and they have interaction, I would appreciate it. To look into that turned on as well, or
Yeah.
talking with, getting code enforcement's thoughts on that is, also.
yep. Any other thoughts or direction on that?
I think it's a great idea.
Okay. All of it. Okay. Alexis, do you feel comfortable with me sort of turning the next 3 discussion items over to you, or do you want me to intro them?
I can talk a little bit about the background of Pacamo Wise.
Okay.
Sorry, my brain is a little bit fuzzy, I'm just not feeling very well.
If you, I can also kind of do my best. and-
Yeah, fill in gaps if you hear anything. So, the ECC has been meeting with, a really, wonderful woman, from Marbletown ECC, Ariane Giudicelli. And the idea is that the Pacamo Fly is, it's hundreds of acres, and so already Olive has designated it as a, CEA. And Marbletown is is trying to work with us to kind of streamline together and make this more cooperative process. To work on ours, and they've sent us over a draft resolution, which I just got, so I didn't send it to you guys in time. Just an idea, like a model that we could use, or we could come up with our own with a little bit of background about why it's an important environmental area and. What exactly a CEA designation would do. So, this is in some of the materials that I sent out, but I know it's been a couple of weeks. CEAs only impact type 1 actions under seeker. So not applicable to the vast majority of actions by private individuals. And the consequences can mean a possibly longer environmental review or the addition of potential conditions, but is not designed to create barriers to development. What ECC is asking is kind of permission from the board to work with David Church and possibly with some representatives of the planning board to see what the implications would be for seeker and also for helping craft our resolution to designate our chunk of the Pacamo Fly as a CEA. That's it in a nutshell. Do you have anything that you would add?
The other piece of it is, the town planner, Dave Church, reached out to me to get authorization to do some background research.
Some mapping, yeah.
And I thought it was probably appropriate that we like authorize the ECC to engage with him. Because it'll be an expenditure.
We can find some privately done mapping for that area,
Yeah,
to minimize, that would be at no cost, then we can minimize, Dave Church's time.
yeah, I don't think he's gonna actually let me pull up his email real quick, but yes. I think-
And just so you know, that's fine for a start, but should you move forward with it in the future to designate that, you're gonna have to have official mapping and public hearing. Which, is in the future.
Yeah, I think what ECC is just asking for is see what kind of arduous process this is. Work with Olive to see what they did. Are there any materials that we could use? And try to find, to cut costs and reuse what we can.
I mean, there are lots of online tools like the Nature Conservancy.
Yeah, yep.
I know that several conservation groups have been working with it for years, so. They get information as well.
Do you mind sending me some of those
Sure.
content?
So, from Dave Church, he said he's been in conversation with ECC members on professional support to advance a possible critical environmental area designation. This would follow recommendations from the Natural Heritage Plan, and complement the steps that the town of Olive has just done. He estimates 2 to 4 hours of town planner time, including meeting with the ECC, plus to find a GIS cartographer to update a map of the area. He has 2 professionals that he likes to work with that they can bill through him, or we can talk about getting pro bono assistance. His guess is that a good map would take 2 hours. And he said both of the people he worked with are less than $100 an hour for that. So I think for that, we would want to do that in phase 2. But I think we could authorize the ECC to work with the town planner for up to 4 hours to do the background work. And then we can just give that go ahead
I'm sorry, for how many hours?
to up to 4. So again, this is just the utilizing his, which we have budgeted. We have funds budgeted. So,
I mean, I'm not a fan of engaging in the CEA discussion again this year. And I think if we're going to do that, the biggest feedback I remember hearing the last time this came up is there was not good communication around the property owners in either CEA area. The Greenway and the Bly, and we heard a lot of feedback about that, and I think if we want the ECC to look into it, I know we actually have some maps. I don't know if any of those are still relevant. The last discussion. I think it should be done with clear communication to the public about what we're doing. Because there's a lot of people that, even though they hear it's only for type 1 seeker and it's not gonna limit property values, that's like, or what you can do on your property, that's a big issue that comes up. And I think, we have a community preservation plan, we have a lot of this stuff that's, people are confused about zoning, reassessments. And I just think this potentially is something that if not communicated properly, could like confuse a lot of people and raise concerns, so. I think they can look into it, but I just want to be cautious about any steps we take talking about designating critical environmental areas.
I think one of the first things to do would be to get a list of parcels that would be involved.
And I think we have that. I have some,
Have you had this discussion before about?
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Oh.
it was voted down.
I have some GIS data from last time that I can dig that up.
Is it available?
It's available somewhere.
I know on
My
my
files.
file. They didn't do it last time. I completely agree with Councilman Coleman's points. I think that we've asked the public to swallow and digest enough information for this year and changes in our town. We also have a housing transfer tax, which we'll have to explain and present and do things on, and I think that if there's something that I'm not willing to give up and divert time away for the sake of conservation for a second year in a row, it's that housing transfer tax and risking community being mad and voting no on that because we've changed too much in 1 year. That being said, I'm happy to again allow the 4 hour, up to 4 hours, with the planner. I would like a proposed project outline from them as well, and if we were able to secure funding to explore and get the mapping and everything done. That is a different proposal to me and that I would be able to entertain. So, but I would like to see like a proposal of how many hours, how much a GIS person costs for those, even though it's only 2 hours, if they're $20,000 an hour, that's a lot. You know, I'm not saying, I have no idea what GIS people, but I'm not a map person in any way or a computer person, so I'm sure they charge a lot. But I just wanna make sure that it's not anything outrageous, and there's tons of funding for conservation out there. We shouldn't be paying for any type of consultant or anything to do with conservation for us getting analyzed or recommendations or having to hire outside, consultants or contractors. And that's all.
So, but we're okay with having the ECC work with Dave, and I think what we can do is authorize that and request that they submit a project proposal.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so I'll make a motion that the town of Rochester Town Board authorizes the ECC to engage with town planner Dave Church for no more than 4 hours of planning consultation, looking into the Pacoma area, and request that they submit a project proposal to the town board, including timelines.
I'm gonna cross over.
Yeah. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. I believe this ties into the next one too, right?
The technical assistant, so the forest inventory grant.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure what they wanted to do with this, but.
I'm just asking for myself personally.
Oh, okay.
Put a pin in it tonight. I'm running out of steam. And, I think it's more important to talk about the, Climate Smart Task Force merger,
Okay,
the conflict, but the technical assistance grant, that was the, excuse me, that was the forest inventory grant, right? That it just.
it's like a map, it's a GIS map.
Yeah,
grant,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, and that was because I'm reaching out to see if there's anybody in Climate Smart that wants to take it on, because right now ECC is a little bit, don't want to extend, since the Pacoma Y is going forward. So, I will, next meeting, we'll dive into that, and I think there's a mid-May application deadline, so it's
Right.
not super, it's soon, but it's not like.
Okay. All right, so
Well,
we'll
yeah,
just carry.
can I just say on that? Because I did look at the application and it is mid-May. The one concern I have is I think we should really look at what the submission is. So if that's the timeline we're working with and we authorize them on the 9th to do it, like we'd want to look at the finished product before it gets submitted
The
because
application.
because one of the requirements is like talk about priorities of the town and things that are
Yep.
like
Yeah.
comp plan, and I don't want to speak without having done kind of the diligence of talking to residents about that. Like, I don't want to make claims that don't align with the comp plan or we might not agree with. So that's the only thing is if we want to do it, we should.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to them before the next ECC meeting, so this ongoing conversations.
Yeah.
with them.
And I mean, if they want to draft something ahead of time to kind of give us a sense of like what the types of things they would say, that could help us because it is going to be like a time crunch for them. to
Yeah.
get it.
Okay.
So the next is the merger discussion. So there's a memo called Memo and Notes,
Memo called memo?
Memo and Notes RE, the consideration of consolidating Climate Smart Committee into ECC. Did you want to frame this, or do you want me to frame it?
Yeah, go ahead. I just had some notes to add about, the voting versus non-voting, but yeah, do you tell me what?
Sure, so the Environmental Conservation Commission is a formal public body that we can form because of New York State law. So we have a chapter of code establishing the ECC, but that's also state law. So what that means is that we can't do anything that's like more than, or, you know, we have to follow the guidance in state law. So, and that's for conservation advisory councils. So we have, the ECC is our conservation advisory council. Most towns, when they form the Climate Smart Committee or Climate Smart Task Force through resolution, are giving that designation to their Conservation Advisory Council. So this is a move to consolidate. It is something we can do through resolution. No, now the issue is that we have, and maybe this is what you have notes on, is that the interest in joining was like a little bit more than the 11 seats available.
Yeah.
Also, kind of an outstanding question I have is that we're required for Climate Smart to have a staff member or public official on the task force. So right now that is Alexis, and I wasn't sure if a town board member can serve officially on the ECC or not. I know that that's fine for the Climate Smart, but I wasn't sure if that's true for,
It's like, right.
yeah.
I doubt it is. I can look into it, but I doubt it is. Is there any reason they can't just have like some joint meetings?
Yeah, I think personally, this sounds like an ethical nightmare to merge those two specific.
Well, it's pretty common in almost every other town has them as like a Climate Smart as a subcommittee. So it's not unheard of.
I just, the Environmental Conservation Committee is an advisory committee to this board, which is a taxing district. And the Climate Smart Task Force is the committee that is deciding what to do with those funds.
No,
What purchases to advise us on, is that?
that's the other one.
Oh, then I still do find, never mind.
That's the CPP. They're also advisory. They just do they're like going through the Climate Smart
It's on the
program.
current plan. It's not the same title of it.
Yeah.
But I do still find that that's, if we have a town board member that's required on the one, I don't think that ethically we can merge them either.
Well,
But we can on
Does
the
the town board
other.
member, can the town board member or official be ex officio?
I think I've seen that, so I did a little bit, so that was my first question is, because it can be a staff, some towns, there's have a staff member on their ECC that qualifies them for the Climate Smart. I saw another town that it's a liaison, so like, I just have to get that clarification.
Okay.
From the technical advisor for Climate Smart, because you could just stay a liaison, and if they think that we won't lose those points for that,
Okay.
then I think that would be the most appropriate thing.
Okay.
Because we right now don't have none of the other members here are a staff member or a official on another board.
Okay.
So then the other sort of considerations that is that the chairman, vice chairman. Now, typically, the Climate Smart coordinator, if in most towns, Climate Smart and ECC are the same. And in those towns, the coordinator is the chair. Now, that doesn't have to be the case, but that person has to have some bigger role than like a normal member because they are officially appointed. So I think that's just a consideration that should be really transparent. And then the other thing is that like, we were trying to make it really clear that right now, Climate Smart, as Charlotte was saying, is like ex officio, or they're ad hoc advisory. They don't have public, they can meet on Zoom and all of that, but if they merge, that is not the case.
Yeah.
So if they have a quorum, it's a public meeting that has to be noticed, there has to be agendas, they have to make sure meeting materials are available to the public. They have to take minutes. And then I also think that I'm also hoping that if we do this, that it actually encourages the ECC to sort of step up a little bit in meeting those requirements. Because that is something that needs to improve. And so that's one of the hesitancies I have, is that it becomes even more critical that that improves.
Okay, so what should I take back to everybody? Do you want to meet with me sometime and hash this out a little bit?
Yeah, we can. And I think just sort of getting the feedback from the board, and also I think whatever feedback you have.
Yeah, I was just saying that we have 2 members that are perfectly fine, going into a non-voting tier. So that, because I think we have somebody who's like a member of the press, who's some sort of rank as like a, interested member of the public or something like that. So there's some, volunteers to step down, not step down, but to have a non-voting capacity if the merge went forward. So there's not gonna be an issue with too much, head count for the open positions.
Right. So we are limited to 9 members. We had a list of 11 that included you. So if we took you off, that would be 10. This included the people that had previously said that they didn't need to be appointed. I don't know if anyone else on this list had done that, but that's something we should hash out too.
Okay.
Because we would need somebody to either resign from the ECC or someone to say who's on Climate Smart that they didn't want to be appointed.
Yeah, as long as they can just attend the meetings and, be part of the events, they don't need to have voting.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, yeah, we have. Okay, so I'll make some time next week.
Okay. Any other thoughts from the board?
In general, I fully support consolidating conservation in our towns.
Yeah. I'd like to close the door.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Motion closed.
Motion to close the second.
All right, so then I have the presentation of local laws from code enforcement. We talked a little bit about the fee that they were recommending. That's a resolution. The okay. So there's one that I need to, I'm introing these and then we can talk about interest level and then officially present them, because these were, Keith is sending me drafts of local laws. and drafts of resolutions. So, this one is a local law establishing procedures and penalties for construction or renovation performed without a permit. So this is a law that would establish a, fee structure for that. Now, part of the thing that I need to tease out is because like fees and fines are handled differently. So, he felt like this, based on his research, he thought that this had to be done through a local law. But I also don't know, again, I'm getting, like, we were talking about priorities, like piecemeal bits as they come up for them, and I think there might be a way of combining some of this. Because this is seems a little related to this idea of thinking about receiving some kind of fee for some of the administrative work that goes into issuing violations. But this would, this establishes like a very clear process for work done without a permit, with like it outlines like the stop work order timeline. It like puts it all into like an official law, rather than right now, these are just operating protocols that they have in the office. It's not like established. And then the other one,
So could that be established by resolution instead of local law?
this is what I'm trying to,
Oh.
I'm trying to like pull it all together, and admittedly did not spend as much time kind of thinking about it as I would have liked to. I think it sounded like we could, oh, I thought there was one more that he sent me. Maybe I got confused. I feel like these two, the fee schedule proposal and the permit after the fact, seem kind of related, so I'm trying to figure out, but it sounded to me like the board is supportive of making sure that we're covering our costs that the code enforcement office is doing to enforce the code, and that it's worth diving into this and doing something. I'd prefer to do less work, so if there's a way of combining these, because they seem kind of related, then I would like to do that.
Well, it would also be good if we could do it as a policy document, or like Kate's saying, as a resolution that could be easily modified
Right,
by the board.
I agree.
In future boards. The local law seems very.
Yeah, I agree. And, okay. So, can we move on from that? Any thoughts? Okay, next item, just wanted to get, thoughts from the board. I would like to have an updated lease agreement or memorandum of, understanding with the Rochester Food Pantry. So the one that we had established with them when we built the building, was a 5-year, so we're a little bit beyond that. And there are some things that have come up that were not considered or addressed in the original agreement. Number one is really teasing out what our responsibilities as the landlord or property owner are versus responsibilities that we would like for them. And then also just communications, like I'm establishing communications with the pantry, but I think some of it, like for example, if there are repairs that will be under their responsibility, I think we should be informed of those. Those are the main things that have been coming up. Other things that have been coming up is use of the facilities, so the pantry will allow anyone to use the facility, but during the after-school program, they want to be able to limit who's walking through the building. So I just think things like that, we should have, doesn't need to be a hyper specific, but I think the new agreement needs to be more specific than the old. Huh? Sure, yeah. I was gonna ask you if you were interested in doing that. So we are gonna do a new, yeah. Zolly's gonna head that, so I was asking if the board had any feedback before we draft something.
I would just like to also, I would just like to request that if I were offered to meet with the food pantry board to see if there's anything that they would like changed in it as well, so that no one else has to schedule. I have lots of time to be students, so. And I know them all, so I don't mind going, talk to them, and see if there's anything that they needed changed in there as well, or something like that, so. But yeah, I'm so about that.
Great, yeah, I had a meeting with the chair and I don't know everyone's titles, but 2 members of the board, and we discussed some of the things that had come up, and I brought up some of the things. And so they were like, yeah, can you put something together? And
Who did you talk to?
Rob and June. No, Rob? No.
Ron?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, Ron. I know his name.
Wow. Do you have the current lease?
I do. I didn't bring it with me though, but I can circulate it. I'll circulate the current one.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say.
I don't think I stuck it in there. The next one is we need to do an MOU with the Close for Free. I'd hope to have something drafted tonight, but I didn't. We can just table this, but if anyone had anything that to add, I have a good idea of what I think the staff and departments would really like to see with that, but I don't know if there's anything that the board would really like to see with that.
Waiver of jury trial.
Of course.
2 cents.
I'm okay with it for this week.
You're what?
I'm okay with it for this week.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I would like to make a request if you find it applicable that anything that's been here through more than like a quarter, like more than 3 or 4 months, that they put it in the textile bin to clear up their storage space so that it doesn't like grow. I don't think that that's a problem with what I've heard from reports of the free exchange, but if it ever if they have like slower months where it's like, all right, no one needs 30 swimsuits in January, like let's put them in the textile bin so we can get the revenue back in as a donation for it. If it's not being utilized. I don't see it as a big issue.
I like the idea of that.
I like the concept of it, but it's sort of, are we micromanaging what they're doing?
Well,
Because, I mean, if it's a matter
of
of space management and
I
making
don't
sure
know
that
anything
whatever
about
you're
it.
storing doesn't go bad because of mold and mildew. I mean, if they have a big collection of winter coats that they have room for that they can store adequately, do we really want them to throw them away? If we know that at some point later in the year that they're gonna be used.
No, I'm pretty
This
sure,
is not high demand.
I'm pretty sure if they have stuff that they don't think is gonna move,
Yeah, I mean-
they put it in the bins.
I mean, we don't need. I mean, they've been doing this long enough to know how to make room.
I think, well,
I have no idea what they've been doing this whole time.
yeah,
So they might know what they are doing, but myself as a. Legislative body of this. Town have no idea what they're doing, and we've been paying thousands of dollars for that pot. So I. I understand, I don't want them to throw out anything that can be utilized and kept out of a landfill or anything, but if there's an alternative, like if they keep getting donations of bed sheets and no one comes here for bed sheets. Why are we gonna take up that space when we can use it for winter coats or for swim trunks? When we can get revenue back on it?
So what I think there's one good way to handle this is, so what we are getting rid of the pod. They are donating a shed to the town. Part of having the MOU is that they will be utilizing it for the time that they are here, and when if and when they leave, the shed will stay here. And I think one way that we can put that in is that they're not to use any other space other than that for storage. So then that kind of forces them, we're not gonna offer them anything else.
Who's responsible for maintenance? Say a tree falls down, like, maintenance and insurance.
I mean, yeah, that's why we wanna have an MOU with them. Yeah,
And are they officially a registered entity? Are they operating under the exchange still? Do we know any of that?
I don't know the answers to that.
I was like,
Okay.
that before we approve it, just so that we have all of our ducks in a row on it. Because people ask those questions.
I have some like key, like, no funds can be collected at the community center. We want to put in some things about leaving the space as it is. And then some like, because it's a big use of the space, we don't have anyone using the space in this way. We don't have any other organization that has like 200 people coming in on a single day, so. It's a,
To be clear, there haven't been any issues and they've been
no,
leaving space.
no,
Yeah,
there
I
are,
think it'd be great if we had other organizations to have 200 people come through.
yeah,
Well, they allow the Board of Elections to do it.
well, that's true, we do have a bunch. Okay, any other, anything else on that? Okay, I'm tabling court security camera policy. Cause we have to like write our own version of that. Digital records policy, basically wanting to know if we are adopting this tonight.
I
Yeah.
make a motion.
I think we
It's
should,
on the agenda.
I think we're gonna adopt it effective May 1st and then. I gotta do some work to get it set up.
Okay, do you wanna give an overview of do you guys wanna give an overview of where we're at with it? Go for it, Michael.
No, so basically we have obligations in terms of state law related to FOIL and being with. Making sure that we track and that Kate and Parks Office are able to. Provide a record of. Records that are actually defined in New York State Code. So that people have a right to access information about the operations of the town. And so with the new email system, as well as some of the other Microsoft tools, there are different settings that you can implement that will automate the process of not only creating records, but then storing them and having them available for archive purposes. So that in the future, when we get FOIL requests, it will be much easier for the clerk to gather that information, assess that information, and then provide access to that, to those documents to the public. So what we wanted was two things. One, to actually have a formal policy that people who have access to our systems that are involved in producing documents related to the ongoing operations of the town will sign on and agree to the policy that they're going to protect and preserve these records and follow all New York State laws. And then the second is to actually implement the technical side of that. So that when people are sending emails, when they're receiving emails, they can, there will either be automation to flag things as records, or they will manually apply tags for records so that Kate doesn't have to go nuts with all of these FOIL requests that she's receiving. So those are the two pieces. One is gonna be to implement the policy as of May 1st and have the employees not only sign on to it, but be trained so that they actually understand what they're signing on to. The second would be the technical piece to make sure that the system is operating, preserving records that need to be preserved, and then can kind of clear things according to whatever the policies are. If a document doesn't need to be kept after 7 years, it can be removed from the system. If it's a listserv thing or a sales, a bunch of junk mail that comes in, the system can clear it out so that it doesn't clutter things up and continue to cost the town money. So that's where we're at. We reviewed it, the three of us, Aaron may have reviewed it, and I think it's available to the board. We've had it up there, and I think it's good to go to adopt, and you can always add to it, because I think there's gonna be other things, you know, we have Munich Lab, we have these other systems that we may need to add to it as we develop procedures for that.
Did you want to add anything?
No, I think this is long overdue. I think we're heading in a great direction, and it might be a little bit of a transition for departments in the beginning, but I think hindsight, this is going to be a really good thing as far as the record keeping goes. And thank you, Michael. You've been amazing at spearheading what we can do and not do technically. So I appreciate that. And I think the idea is to adopt it tonight, to go out for May 1st and to spend April doing trainings with the departments that have digital records. So thank you, Michael.
Thank you. Both of you.
I have done the least.
I've done nothing for it outside of this meeting, so thank you to everyone else who did it. It's a lovely policy. Reviewed it. I appreciate your work.
Barely gonna say something.
Now that was a sneeze.
She's
Oh.
sniffling.
I'm feeling like Alexis today.
This is the season.
Yeah.
Okay. So the update on the body cam policy is that we did request that our other council review that, and he is getting back to us in the next couple days. So we didn't want to pass that without having him look at it, because he's the one that recommended that we do it. Surprise, have no E-code codification project updates. For the April business meeting, right now, I've got 2 public hearings. I've got the, if we're ready for some kind of policy for the code enforcement fees, we'll do that, or if that needs to be a local law, we'll have that for introduction. We should have the MOU for the closed for free ready at that meeting. Zola just walked out, but potentially the lease for the food pantry, a draft of that. I will have budget mods prepared for the code enforcement. I'll try to look into the quotes and other details of the software for the code enforcement. I'll be doing a budget mod for a fire safety inspector, but I'm gonna go and put an ad out for that just so we can start collecting applications, because I want the code enforcement officer to do the interviews for that. And then I have the ECC CSC resolution. Anything else?
Yes, can we figure out if we are gonna increase the fee for the park now having the bathrooms?
Oh, yeah.
And how we're gonna handle the bathroom?
Oh, okay, I've been working on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I already have people starting to book for the summer,
Okay,
and I really want us to get that squared away.
okay, yes. Great.
We can work on something in
Yeah,
a week or two.
okay,
I just want it to
Yeah,
potentially be on the
on,
April.
so we can do it.
business.
Yeah, got it. That's a good one, thank you. Anything else for April business meeting? Well, if you think of anything, email me. We moved the abstract to the end of the meeting because I have a couple of things. There's a reason why we got moved to end. But we are adding the acceptance of a donation. I will make that motion.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm abstaining.
I'll make a motion that the Town of Rochester Town Board accepts the donation of a podium from Councilwoman Smiseth for the purposes of supporting public comments and other presentations at at public meetings.
Reminds me to amendments.
Sure.
Planning, one, the customized podium.
Okay.
By yours truly. And also 2 wireless lapel mics for the use by the public. Will be used with our, that will work with our computer system.
Okay, so I'll make that motion, but referring to it as a customized podium and including 2 wireless lapel mics. Do I have a second?
Second with thanks.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you, Charlotte.
Also, thank you to the Ulster County Habitat Restore for having such a lovely podium for me to discover there to purchase for us. It's upcycled.
I appreciate that you came up with, I think, a remedy after an incredibly difficult meeting.
Yes,
So thank you for that.
yes, that's a much nicer than a talking stick, I think.
Yeah.
And thank you.
Okay. So are we ready to adopt the procurement policy?
Yeah, we are. Wait, did we table the abstracts?
It's gonna be.
Oh, at the end, okay.
I have a few things I wanted to ask.
Okay,
I didn't make red lines in the document.
we're good.
Yeah. Maybe on my own.
Okay,
Under the town supervisor, the authority is. Says all general town appropriations and all appropriations not otherwise assigned to department, the town supervisor. May also designate purchasing officers for appropriations. So does that mean like? Does that mean the supervisor can't? Authorize expenditures for dog control or something like?
Dog.
I can do any of it.
Because the way I'm reading that, it didn't sound like.
Sorry, the town supervisor.
It didn't sound like, so I think supervisor should be able to, but it said all general town appropriations, so are we saying? That's covered
Yes.
under general town appropriations?
Yes,
and all
general fund,
appropriations not
yeah.
otherwise assigned to the department, okay?
Yeah.
And then I was just wondering, the line below that, all purchases must be made within the limits of funds appropriated by the town board for the applicable department or program. No purchase may be made that would exceed available appropriations. That makes sense, but I'm just wondering if. Like if somebody wanted to make a purchase that was gonna expend 80% of the appropriated amount in like February. Is there a guardrail that needs to be there to say? Okay, if you're expending that. You're not gonna have any more money for the rest of the year, or do we want to just say, okay, it's appropriated so that whoever owns that budget.
Well, there are more guardrails in the purchasing policy itself.
Yeah.
So like if it's, a lot of times the expenditure is 100%, like what we've budgeted is like a one-time purchase. Or it's seasonal, so I would not want to make any of that, but because we've set these limits on purchasing authority, I think.
Okay.
And then that's part of like the job of the budget officer is to like watch. And that's also why you get budget versus actual reports,
Mhm.
because we're watching the rate of expenditures, and like you were looking at the fuel. And I'm like, well, we can like drill into that to show some of it makes sense and some of it doesn't make sense. And but yeah, that's.
Okay.
And then also the town board can not approve a claim. So that's another,
Right. And then there were a few, I think we can adopt it tonight. There were a few other things where, like, we talk about retaining copies of proposals. I think we should specify like how we expect departments to retain that. Like if, like, getting back to digital records, when we have a system, like, okay, if you get proposals, here's where you put them. So that it's easier to find them if people need those things. So I just think as we like add those things into the retention policy, we should include.
well, they're submitting that to the town board, so that becomes part of our public record.
Right, but is there like a place where where departments should store the proposals and everything, or does that all go through you? I just think,
That would follow the normal record retention.
but I think we need
With
to,
whatever form it is.
That's
We
my
get some
point.
Quotes in paper, we get some digital, so whichever one it is, they follow. The lovely policy you've been working on how to follow that.
I guess,
We would be the owners of the document after it's getting.
but I guess what I'm trying to get to is, like, we should have a set way, like highway shouldn't store it one way. You know, rec stores it another, building stores, like we should have a process where if we want to have a formalized proposal process, we should have a formalized way of tracking all those.
I think once it's handed over to the purchasing, to the budget officer, all the quotes, the 3 quotes that they could be destroyed, we have the copy of them.
Well, that's fine, yeah.
Digitally, you know what I mean, like.
If there's a
but
single
we don't
point.
need to Put that in
I see,
now.
I see both points, and I think we can kind of see. As, right
Yes.
now, I'm the one that does this,
Anyway,
like all of it, so. I'm actually hoping this policy will create those types of problems.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, you do it too, you do it. But for the most part, like, I'm writing them for the highway department and other departments.
Yeah, so maybe that's the answer, if it's all flowing one place, but if they're gonna be independent, I just.
But I would like that, I would like to hand over more.
Yeah. Which is what I thought we were discussing
Yeah.
related.
So if we come into that problem, that would be great, and then we can create like a place where those get stored.
Yeah, I'm good. I think it's good.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um, on the limitations for the different things. So we have like over 20,000, then we have 7,500 to 20,000, then we have 3,000 to 7,500. So we have to put like over 7,500 or something, because for example, goods and services, 7,500 to 20,000 is a written RFP plus 3 written quotes. But 7,500 is also
oh, it's
for
the plus one
request plus
problem.
2 quotes.
The +1 problem, yeah.
Yeah. But I
Can we
should, I have to
just make it
see what
actually out of
state law says. I have to see what state law says on that, actually. And then,
Yeah, so that needs to be corrected though, so you don't have,
But put a less than sign.
I just wanna see what state law says.
Yeah.
Is it over or this and above? Cause then that's just what we should put. For all of them. An expenditure of more than $20,000. Okay, so then it should be changed to up to and then more than on all of those benchmarks. Does that make sense to everyone?
Where would it say up to?
So, and on every higher
Mhm.
limit, it's up to, and then on the, on every lower limit, it's more than,
So it would say up to 20,000 here and then
more than.
more than 20,000. Okay,
Does that make sense?
I think so. Makes sense to me. Mary Lou, does that make sense to you?
yes, just have the more than before and the up to
Yeah.
for the higher number.
Okay. Are you guys comfortable adopting with that change?
Yeah, I mean, that's the spirit of it, right? Just clarifying.
Yeah.
So it's not that. That $1 overlap.
Okay, anything else, Michael, or anyone else?
The only other thing. I feel like. There's not a clear change from like, there's a definition section, and then it's not clear to me where the definition section ends. So. I don't know if we wanna just add like a title or something.
How about just a line?
It ends after the it ends where, then it says authorized purchasing officers.
Yeah, so maybe we put something that says like. Procurement policy or, procurement policies. I mean, whatever we wanna do, it's just. We have purpose, definitions, and then definitions just kind of runs into. the
Maybe what
policy.
you do is just put like before goods and services. A tab for a paragraph. For each of the definitions, you
Like indent the
tab them,
definitions. Yeah, that would work.
and then when you get to authorized purchasing, it's back to the front again, right?
Yeah,
I don't think that the formatting. Change, it's over, though, right?
No, we don't need
Just
to, yeah.
reformat that.
um. Okay. All right. Good, Michael?
Yep.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that the town of Rochester Town Board adopts the procurement policy amendment as presented with the following amendments that on all financial thresholds that we change the language to reflect up to and more than.
Second.
Any more discussion?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. I am so excited that we have a template. Okay.
are we skipping this one?
Oh, no, we're not, sorry, okay. Playground supply purchase. Hmm?
They're both in there.
Oh, they're in there, okay. Okay, it's okay. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna, Charlotte uploaded the quotes for the playground grading supply, which is basically it's the rubber and the materials to make the graded border around the playground. So where's my? Oh. I'll make a motion that the town of Rochester Town Board authorizes the purchase of the playground surfacing materials in the amount of $13,900 from All Things Recreation LLC.
Can you say that number again? 13,000.
$13,900.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Okay. Now,
I'd like to make a motion that Town of Rochester Town Board adopts the digital records policy as presented effective May 1st, 2026.
Second,
any more discussion?
thank you for all the work again. That everyone else.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. So these are those big documents that I included. So the background on this is that these were sent to the highway secretary in January of 2025, and they were never sent to me, so they need this on file though, so this is retro active.
I make a motion to block vote F and G as presented.
Hold on, I have to insert the first one, there's a blank, so it needs to be, so I'll make the motion that the Town of Rochester Town Board authorizes an amendment to the implementation and funding costs resolution of the Boyce Mill Bridge replacement as presented and filled in with appropriated pursuant to general municipal law.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Okay, so yeah, we've already actually spent all that. And then the next one, sorry, if you can.
No, no, no.
Okay.
I make a motion authorizing the town supervisor to execute supplemental agreement between New York State DOT and the town of Rochester regarding the Boyce Mill Road bridge replacement as presented.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Where's my budget? Oh, oops, shoot, okay. The next motion is acceptance of the annual court review, so I'll make a motion that the Town of Rochester accepts for submission to the state, the annual court review of the 2025 court records as presented and prepared by council members Wynn and Coleman.
Thanks.
Any discussion?
Thanks for doing the audit, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sound.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Oh, no. Oh, you're abstaining. Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I was flowing through that. With the board's permission, when I did my budget mods, I forgot when I did my agenda modifications, I forgot 2 resolutions that I'd written on my agenda. So if the board's okay, we need to appoint Pat Davis to a seasonal position, and then I need to do a couple of budget modifications. Are you guys okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. So, where's my? I also left off this. Wow, I really failed. How did I miss this? Let me see.
Oh, yeah, you had it all set up.
I had it all set up and everything.
Exception, yeah, should do assessing.
Well, I mean, someone can make a motion
I was gonna
on the
say,
agenda.
is there
to-
something I can
Okay,
read?
Yeah, so we were gonna
A
select,
motion?
yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know, I left this, we were gonna select the contractor to do the Project 32 extension work. We had a month-long window to receive the proposals for that project. I provided the RFP that the highway department issued to the board and its lowest cost, so we received one for $28,819 and the other is $88,200. So I thought it was, we should go with the $28,819 one.
Sure.
There, it is.
Yeah,
I'm also. fine.
Also, that one's more complete.
I read these last week, so I
yeah.
comprehended all the ones.
I'm sorry, I somehow left that off the agenda.
Just. See it, so.
We titling this project 32. Bench. Project
Road
32.
improvement.
Okay,
Do you need them actually?
Great. So first, I'll just go through, I'll make a motion that the Town of Rochester Town Board reappoints Patrick Davis as a seasonal MEO from April 2026 to June through the end of June 2026 at the hourly rate provided in the collective bargaining agreement. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. It's Michael's house. And then, the budget modification I have with you guys,
Did you vote on the Project 32 extension?
not yet.
Oh, okay.
I just,
Okay.
I was sitting there in silence
Okay.
and I decided I needed to say something. Then I have a budget modification for you guys that is in the printer, but we have to make it tonight. So that we can. Just make sure I didn't. I just got a text that there is a migration going on right now, an amphibian migration. So everyone be careful when you're driving home.
Little Hole Road has signs all
Tell
along
me-
the road.
Yeah, they got the
Yeah,
signs
An
this week.
amphibious text alert system that you have subscribed.
I
to.
have an amphibian text alert system.
I was gonna say, is this the
so-
frogs?
Yeah, it's there's a migration. It's warm enough for that to
Yes.
happen. So, okay, so be careful while you're driving home. Okay,
Watch out for the people in headlamps shouting the frogs cross, please.
all right, so. My computer is not turning on, so I'm gonna let you guys know what this budget modification is. I am clearing out the contingency fund and moving it into the parks operation and maintenance line. And this will allow us to purchase the materials that we just approved. So I'll make a motion that the town board authorizes the town supervisor acting in her capacity as budget officer to move $8,500 from budget code 1990.4 contingency to budget code 7110.46. And that's it.
And that's parks and operations.
Yeah, that is parks operation and maintenance.
Second.
Any discussion? So that clears contingency except for $64 and makes the total of the operation and maintenance line just slightly over $13,900. I had a motion and a second, right? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Next, we'll go ahead and award the, roadway construction for the Project 32 detour route improvement. Like, we received 2 project proposals, and the lesser is actually a much more complete proposal. So, I would like to make a motion that the Town of Rochester Town Board authorize the highway superintendent to hire Rustic Root Farm Inc. for the Project 32 or detour route improvement project for a cost not to exceed $28,819.
Okay.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. And I have the written proposal and the responses, and those will be kept on file. And we also posted that on the town website, the proposal request, so that is,
You know when that works, start.
as soon as possible. That's why I didn't do. Okay, all right. Now it's executive session.
I motion to enter executive session about the identity assessment.
That's gonna be.
Sorry.
Did I miss the?
At 9.
And that's,
Doing that after.
Is that 21 P.M.?
sorry.
Okay.
The things on the agenda. But I already flipped over and can't read the reason. For the purposes of discussing matters that lead to the appointment of particular persons and matters regarding possible litigation.
And matters,
Should we do the? Bachelor first?
matters regarding the employment history of particular persons and the discipline of a participant.
Great, name litigation.
No, because it's possible.
No, because it's potential litigation.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose, abstain, motion carries.
Who seconded that?